Resident Evil 4 Remake, released in March of 2023, retailing for $59.99. Available on PlayStation, Xbox, and Windows platforms. As the title suggests, this is a remake of Resident Evil 4, originally released for the GameCube. But unlike the vast majority of remakes, it is quite easy to play the original version of Resident Evil 4 still, as after its original release, it was ported to almost every platform at the time and that would come after. So it is very possible to play both versions back to back on whichever modern platform you choose. But what does the remake have over the original version? Well, graphically, it's very impressive. They've added a whole series of side quests that you do for the merchant, rebalanced many of the weapons. They've added an ammo crafting system, but weirdly, ammo cannot be put into storage this time around, and have done new things with some, but not all of the boss fights, as many of the boss fights, especially early on, are nearly identical to the original game. But mostly what this remake does is remove all the camp and humor that was present in the original. Because when you have a game about ancient, fossilized parasites taking over a small Spanish island, what you need to do is take all of that seriously to the absolute max. Also, at the time of making this, most of the extra content of Resident Evil 4 Original is not available in the remake. Separate Ways, Operation Ada, though apparently those are coming as DLC later. But basically, they took the original Resident Evil 4, they got rid of any kind of humor, they made it a little more difficult, and they called it a day. And honestly, I'm not sure that any of that was for the better. But modern Resident Evil tries very hard to be taken seriously, for some reason. Even though, up until recently, it was a series that didn't try to be overly serious. Has Capcom completely forgotten about the Jill sandwich line? That was kind of the whole appeal of the series. You have this very grim situation and graphics that are usually pretty good, for the time at least, contrasted against dialogue that is just kinda laughable. But that contrast has been forgotten. But is Resident Evil 4 Remake worth your time and money? Not right now, not at the full $60. On every platform this is available on, you can also get the original version of Resident Evil 4 for $20. And I'd recommend picking that up for $20 and playing through that instead, even if you've already played it before. This is a situation like a lot of Hollywood remakes. You have a classic that's been remade where you're better off just going home and watching the original classic. And I would probably feel very differently on this if the original version of Resident Evil 4 wasn't so easy to get a hold of. But you don't need to dig out your GameCube or your PlayStation 2 to play the original version, because it's available on your PlayStation 5 and on your Xbox Series X. And while it's not going to look quite as good because it is old graphics that have been upscaled, it's going to be a lot more entertaining while you're playing it. So if you really must play the remake, I'd recommend waiting for a sale at the very least, as I could see this being worthwhile at about $30. And given how the series prices usually go, it's not going to be very long till we get to that point. And while you're waiting to get to that point, another, 3 to 6 months, you can spend $20 and get the original version of Resident Evil 4. Please do subscribe, comment, like, and tell your friends.